What's the dumbest thing you got in trouble for in school?
I got in trouble for saying out loud that I didn't like someone. Her friend overheard, told our teacher, and for the next 3 days we all had to spend our recess talking about why I didn't like that person. Because she makes a big deal out of silly things like this that cause everyone to miss out on recess.
Also, people are allowed to not like other people. It happens. If you're not being mean about it, I don't understand why it's a problem.
Break dancing, I was spinning on my head in between class, in the halls, and they wrote spinning on his head like Michael Jackson. My family lost it when they read the referral note. I remember mom saying he never spun on his head, did he?
Honestly, that's an amazing thing to get in trouble for. His breakdancing skills were too great, and had to be removed from the premises.
I told this before, high school late 90s, we just got the internet. This was the early days of the internet where any random or innocent search could still bring up porn. Well, it happened to me. Our history class had the computer lab, porn came up on my screen, immediately sent to the office. They did not believe me that it was an accident, but I'd never been in trouble before. I was suspended the rest of the day, I just went home. Then it started happening to other students/teachers, then they finally put filters on the computers, but I was never apologized to.
Now that's just sad. It's surprising to me how some people just can't admit they're wrong to children or to anyone. Don't get me wrong, even I struggle to apologize, but the least they could have done was say sorry.
But adults can't apologize to children, then children would know that adults can be in the wrong sometimes and they'd have no respect for authority.
One of my coworkers is this way with his kids. Refuses to ever apologize, admit fault, or even say he was wrong about anything. And then he complains at work all day that his kids don't ever listen to him. If I make a mistake with my kids, I always try to apologize to them.
Our school had this stupid rule where you weren't allowed to go to the bathroom during the last 5 minutes of class. Lo and behold, we're 5 minutes away from the bell when I suddenly break out in cold sweats, and I get that dreadful rumble in my guts. It's explosive diarrhea time. I asked to go to the toilet. Denied. I just yelled emergency and ran out of class. I got to the loo, did the patented move of rolling my pants down, transition into sitting down before losing 5 pounds in 15 seconds using this one simple trick. Doctors hate this guy. After cleaning up, I went back to collect my stuff from the classroom and to apologize to my teacher, but she had already written me up for it. Now, what makes this even stupider is that in my country, we start school at 7. We do 4 years of elementary school, 3 years of primary school, and 5 years of high school. This happened in my senior year. I was 19 years old. I was, by legal definition, a grown man. I wasn't going to shit my pants because of a stupid 5-minute rule. I hadn't been feeling good all day and had already thrown up twice at school. I had no way of getting home and all the teachers except one knew I wasn't feeling good. This teacher also watched our class at lunchtime. I tried to eat my lunch, but after a few bites I felt the need to hurl. This teacher was a no-nonsense kind of bitch and enjoyed making kids suffer. I told him I had to go to the bathroom. He asked me how many times I had gone already. I said 2. Well, you can't go anymore. You'll have to wait until the end of the day. He believed that you should only be allowed to use the bathroom twice a day. Any more than that, you were a problem child, who made it clear you didn't want to learn. I didn't listen to him and made a dash for the bathroom, which was right next to the lunchroom. As I had my head buried in the toilet, he came charging in. I am a girl. He stood over me as I emptied my stomach. Once I was done, he dragged me to admin's office and forced me into a chair. He began to rant that I was taking illegal drugs and that's why I threw up and kept going to the bathroom. He screeched that I should be expelled and searched for illegal contraband. This went on for a good 5 minutes until the admin told him to shut up and go back to the lunchroom. I stayed in the office until my mother was finally able to get me. The teacher despised me after this and always found an excuse to keep me after school or send me to the office. Already posted this elsewhere, but it's a good story. A word of introduction. There's no such thing as detention in here in Poland, and basically the worst thing that can happen to a kid is getting these notes in your student record from the teacher to your parents saying you acted out and how. Literally every kid is shitless scared of getting these, and if you get 3 that are from the headmaster you can get expelled, so it's like a big deal. So most kids try not to act out in any way as not to be punished with getting a note. Anyway, I was 10 years old at the time. One day I wanted to show my friend how sturdy my new sneakers were and prompted her to repeatedly shut the door on my foot, with me claiming that I don't feel anything, which of course prompted the said friend to keep slamming the door even harder. Really did not feel a thing. Those shoes were lined with solid plastic. Well, anyway, some teacher noticed this whole thing eventually. To be fair, a small crowd had begun to gather at that point, so it was beginning to get noticeable. Scared shitless that we were in a fight or something and that my friend was beating me up, because what other explanation could there be to 2 preteen girls hitting one another with a door? The teacher took us away from any doors and windows and proceeded to take away my friend's register to give her a note. Being the honorable one, at that point I chime in, saying she hadn't done more than just what I asked of her and that in truth, I was the one who had started it. Cue the teacher looking at me with utter shock because what the hell, this kid was getting this beating voluntarily. So of course I proceeded to explain that it hadn't even been a fight, and my friend started to back me up, so we went on to explain the whole thing and that I just wanted to prove I had impenetrable plastic sneakers, and that we actually hadn't had the chance to finish it, and that it was harmless and literally no ill intentions and all that. Ended up coming home with the most ridiculous note anyone had ever received. Maria volunteered to partake in a shoe sturdiness test. The girl conducting said test slammed a door shut on Maria's foot repeatedly. Neither of the girls seemed to acknowledge the dangers of such behavior. Please talk to your child immediately.
I had this demon teacher in 6th grade who was extremely condescending and unreasonable, who was very strict about writing in pencil only. Since we were allowed to use pens in pretty much every other class, there was one day I accidentally used the pen in her class. When she asked me if I was using a pen, I looked down at my writing and for some reason thought I had been writing in pencil, so I said no before realizing my mistake, and I guess that just really set her off and she made me stand up in front of the class while she yelled at me for lying to an adult. I was super close to crying and absolutely furious at her, but there was nothing I could do since she was an adult and I wasn't, so therefore she must have been right. To top it off, I was the quiet girl who never said a thing. In fact, I made sure to never say a thing since this teacher would usually find a way to use it as an opportunity to embarrass or belittle me. Honestly, there's been dumber things that I've gotten into trouble before because of her, but this one's the one that affected me the most. I really hope she's not out there terrorizing innocent 12-year-olds anymore.
People like this is why Dolores Umbridge is the most hated villain of them all. We haven't faced a Voldemort, but everyone sure as shit has faced the petty tyrant who bullies kids relentlessly as a way to enjoy themselves.